Right chaps, back in the workshop. Since I last spoke to you guys, I've been working on the lower case. I've removed the selector drum. I've removed the selector shaft, and there's also a selector on the drum as well. The gearbox is here. I have to say I'm really impressed with the state of these dog teeth. I did go through it when it was in the engine, but when I take them out, they're just superb. That gearbox is absolutely great. And I don't know how many miles it's done, but it really does look in good order. This all came from this area here, so that's all done. These cases now need to be prepared. I'm going to clean them down. I'm probably putting them in a petrol paraffin bath over there. And when I've done that, they may come with me down south to a couple of guys which run Alpha Classic bikes, Simon and Andy. Simon did the aqua blasting, vapor blasting on the engine in the bike over there. So I'm quite happy for him to do this one if he'd like to take it on, but we'll see. We did have some trouble though. I touched on this briefly earlier, but I'm going to go over to the actual casing and show you what I mean. This is the top half of the casing. And I don't know if you can see this, but this hole here is supposed to look like that. And we had a stud snap off. Now, there's many ways of getting this out. Some people try and drill them by hand. When you've drilled them, if you're lucky enough to keep that drill with a center pop, you've got to center pop it to try and keep that drill from running off to the side. If you can get it smack bang in the center, you've got a good chance of getting it out. Now, I did that, managed to keep it pretty close to center, and then we used some stud extractors. Just bear with me, I'll show you what I mean. For those of you that don't know, this is a set of stud extractors. There's another set here as well. Depends on what you're actually trying to get out as to which type you use. These are probably better. They bite more. If you look on there, you can see more thread than these. However, there's always a snag with these. This is what I find anyway. If you drill a hole, and the hole is quite big, say that's an 8mm bolt, which it is, and you drill the hole up to 4mm, as you use the stud extractor, it goes into the hole of the broken stud, and you undo it, and it bites. It bites as you turn it around. I expect a lot of you guys have seen this before anyway. And the idea is as you undo it, or as you try and undo it, it bites more and more and more and more into the snapped off screw, and then the idea is it undoes it. Well, in many cases that can work, but on this instance, what it started to do, it started to splay the stud, and that started to bite more, I think, on the actual thread itself. So the decision was made to drill and drill and drill, slowly getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, to the point where, I don't know if you can see that very well, to the point where it's more or less the same size as the bolt that was in there. And that way you can then start picking at the threads and pull out bits of bolt that had sheared off, the threads of that bolt. And that works. There is always a risk, and we have damaged it. There's always a risk of damaging this. I've cleaned this out with a 8mm tap. But I think what I would love to do, and I haven't got the facilities here now, it would be nice to have this on the bench, where you can clock it up on a pillar drill, do what you need to do in order to clean that thread up. Now, if you try and drill it by hand, there's always a risk that that's going to go AWOL. Ideally, it needs to be precisionally done. So if it was me and I had the facilities, I would be putting this whole case in, clocking it up so it's level here and level there, and I would use probably a milling bit to go down there to the size of the tap for a helicoil. Now I think I would get away with a helicoil, but an insert would probably be better. But that's yet to be decided. I might take some advice on that. Anyway, that's where we are. This case, and all the bits are over here. And this is obviously the other half, the bottom case. Crankshaft, the crank is in good order. There's no, I said no end float on the previous video. You've got to have a little bit of end float, but there's no up and down movement of that com rod. They're all the same, but this is Kawasaki all over, bulletproof. Everything looks really, really sweet. It came apart pretty good, apart from that stud that snapped off. Not stud, I keep saying stud, that bolt on the end of the crank, the case bolt which snapped off. But it's not the end of the world. If the worst comes to the worst, then that could be filled in with weld. And then we'd clock it up using these three as data points. Or maybe the other case, bolt the other case back together, and then put a bar the same size as the hole down the other half, center pop it, and then that would be drilled out. That would need to be drilled out on a pillar drill to get it accurate, so that we can then retap it to 8mm. That's possible, but as I said, I'm going to talk to a few people and see what we can come up with, see which is the best way. Look at this little chap that's just flown in. The size of him. Huge. It's not very good at flying. Come on, mate, you need to get out the door. Just to give you an idea, folks, I've taken the bolts out of the bag and lined them all up. This one here you can see is the one that's sheared off. This is the bit that I managed to get out of the hole. Quite annoying, but it does happen. That's where it's sheared off like that at the top, because that's effectively where we were working on it. So you can see that the way that comes apart, it's quite brutal really to get it all out. I think we'll probably renew these bolts anyway, because they've probably been under tensile, and I don't know, not too sure. I think we'll have a think about that one. Anyway, that's it for the time being. Right, chaps, I'm back in the workshop. I have cleaned up this hole. What I've done is I took the chance. I haven't got a pillar drill which is accurate enough, so I've drilled that out using stepped drills, in the sense of slightly different sizes, to get it where we needed to get it. Now, the drill which I finished off with, which is this one, come with me. This one is the drill which is the drill used for taking it to the right size in order to tap out for the helicoil, which is this tap here. So this one's gone down there. I've taken it very careful. You can see now that that's quite a good quite pleased with that, and I'm pretty sure it's about as true as I'm going to get doing it by eye. It would be nice to have a pillar drill to clock all this up and get it spot on, but unfortunately that is not the case. But let's just see how we go. So the thread's being cut now, and all I need to do now is to put that helicoil in. Now I expect 90% of you guys have seen that anyway and probably done it yourself, but what we do need to do is make sure that this hole has got no swarf in it whatsoever. I'm going to give it a bit of a blast, so watch your ears. Just going over to get the air gun. There's also that oil way which I want to clean out. So now the helicoil is ready to go in. I'm going to see if I can prop you up on the camera or on some sort of pod. I don't know if this is going to be practical or not. Let's have a go. I don't know if you can see this actually. Can you guys see that? I don't think you can. So the first thing I need to do really is to put the helicoil on the tool that puts it in. Now you've got to be careful with these, because once they're in, it's a bit of a devil's own job to get them out. Might need to let's just see what we got here. Now before I do this, I'm going to see what depth we got. That's quite a lot of depth. So how much of the bolt thread goes on there? Quite a lot. Let's see how we go. Now I believe there's so many threads that you can use. Any more threads won't make much difference on the tensile pull-in. So these helicoils hopefully should be okay with the length of the actual helicoil itself. Let me get another one to show you what I mean. They're all the same length, so we should be alright. So that one's in now. So let's just see if we can snap the tail off. Now the tail is what allows you to screw it in. And because you're screwing it in like that, if anything, it tends to pull the outside in to allow it to go through, to allow it to go down the thread that you've cut with the tap. And then of course you snap this tail off with this tool. You're pushing it, and then I'll blow it out. So that's in there now. Let's see how we go with snapping it off. If I put a bit of grease on here, I might better pick it up. See what my torch shows me. I think I blew that out. Can't see it anywhere. There it goes. Don't know if you guys saw that. Let's give it one more blow. Now we've got our thread back. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to move you, I'm going to put the other casing on, and then we'll see if we can tighten it down and maybe take it to the specified torque. Just bear with me a minute, folks. The gap's all closed. Gap's all closed around there. Still got a bit of gasket on that one, I think. No, we haven't. It's muck. We'll clean all that off. When it all gets vapor blasted, I mean, it'll be sorted out anyway. Let's see if we can put you in the better pod. Looks pretty good. This is the one that's been helicoiled. That's tightening down quite well. Yeah, it is. So that's working. I'm not going to tighten it to the torque. I'm going to leave it because you might only get one shot of that. I might test it later when all the bolts in and we tighten down equally, but for now that's worked. So let's just take it out. So there we have it. Well, they should come apart quite easily because there they go. So there we have it. That should be okay. Obviously it's never going to be as good as a weld right up to the top and then re-engineered effectively. but I'm pretty confident that that will hold and it will torque down to the right spec that the crankshaft caps need. Anyway, oh dear. That's it really for the time being. I will be back later. I've got to do quite a bit of preparation work now, which is just cleaning stuff. And to be honest with you, you know, you're not going to miss a lot if I'm cleaning. I've got a bath over there, which is going to be full of petrol and paraffin, and I'm going to be putting the crankcases and the gearbox and all the rest of it in the bath and giving it a good old wash around. So I'll be back later when we're all sort of ready to put it together, which won't be for a while, I'm afraid, because these have got to go down to the vapor blasters and be cleaned right up, and I will be back to you as and when. But if you like what you see and you're happy with what you see and you want to see more of them, do put a comment down below, and I will be back and go through the next stage at a later date. You all take care, ride safe, drive safe, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.